Hey, what's up, everybody? It's DJ Phanatic Beats, content contributor for liveoffbeats.com. You can follow me at DJ Phanatic on Twitter, or you can follow me at DJ Phanatic Beats on Instagram if you like. Just wanted to do a quick video for you guys. This video is on input quantizing, basically quantizing in general as well. I recently did the new update for FL Studio 20. And I forgot where I set up the input quantize. Basically, quantizing is setting the notes that you play on a particular grid or note value when you play the notes. And it's very powerful. It's very important when you're making music because naturally, as human beings, we're not always on beat. You know, especially when playing drums or keys, keyboards, or just any type of instrument, we don't always play on time. So that just shows how important it is because you want your beats to be on time, but not always. Certain things you want to add a little swing to, like drums, and some things you want off the grid just a little bit, just to give that type of human feel. But let me just show you where that is, because I actually spent 10 minutes looking for where this is in FL Studio 20, and this actually can be applied to any DAW. Most digital audio workstations have a setting where you can set up a input quantize. That way every note you play while it's being recorded is set to that grid. So basically it's right here. It was in plain sight. It's right here. You can see in the search there it says quantization on my right here. If I take the cursor off, you can't see it, but in this area here. So when you select it, it gives you different options to input quantize, and these are all the different settings: 1/6 step, 1/4 step, 1/3 step, half a step, etc. I usually use half a beat or a beat, depends on what you're playing. The higher you go up, the more notes that you'll be playing, something more complex or intricate. And I did find a graph that they had in their reference manual. I'll show you in a second. But yeah, it's like the whole time I spent 10 minutes looking for this. It's crazy because I was in this creative state, ready to make some beats, ready to like just go in, and I'm like, plucking notes around, like moving them and wasting my time. And I had something really, really intricate that I was working on. So, and basically it's a great time save. So let me undo that because that wasn't musical, maybe on another planet or something. But let's see. Let's get to input quantizing. So this, I'm gonna record just some random notes or whatever without it. So it's set to none. Line and cell is also none. And again, this is applicable to any DAW. Just look in your manual or whatever. I'm not familiar with other DAWs. I did used to use the Kai software, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere. Just type in Quantize or input Quantize and you'll be able to find it. But this is like plain as day. It's right here in front of you in FL Studio. It's like you have your keys or you're looking for your glasses and they're already on your head, or they're just right there in your pocket. It was right here, right in front of me. So I was checking all this. But anyway, hopefully that saves you from having to search for this. So without further ado, I'm just going to record some notes without it. Let me demonstrate here. Hit record. I'm going to choose notes and automation, and it'll give me like a countdown or whatever, and I'll just play some random notes. That's not what I was playing earlier. Let me just try some. So there you go. There's something, just real quick. With that melody idea, these are the notes that I played, obviously. And if you notice, they're not right on the line, on the grid. That's because I played after every beat, or after after every hit that you heard on that metronome right here. So there's two different ways. Input quantizes your performance while you're playing it, while you're recording it live. I'm using my keyboard, my complete control keyboard, and you can also use this on a typing keyboard too. I'd use it a lot when I'm like out and about and I don't have space for you know the MIDI controller. But yeah, notice it's off, and that's basically some instances you would want it to be more humanized, but when you want something to be tighter and on beat, notice this chord. See how I played that note late after these top notes? And also these are off the grid too. Um, you know, sometimes you want it to be tight. So with that, we'll undo that. My bad. There we go. And we're gonna turn it on. So I'm gonna turn it on to probably half a beat. That should be good because this sequence of notes isn't too extravagant. So we're gonna record notes in automation. And I think it just stops automatically after that 4 bars. So now here you go. Now notice the difference here. Every note is starting on that grid. Check it out. Now it saves me time from having to move notes every time after recording. That's a huge, powerful setting that you can do. To go further into that, remember earlier I was talking about the different quantizing options. You can do beat, bar, whatever. Basically, I'm going to show you right quick. Here's a diagram in the manual that pretty much explains the different settings. Actually, I'm not going to use that. This is what I'm talking about. Converting the steps slash beats to note values. This is important, for those that, are music theory inclined or just more advanced, especially you're nice on the keys. I'm not really nice on the keys. I got some nice chords, but I always have great musical ideas. So I play a few notes, but this is great for you to understand because I didn't know the breakdown of steps and beats compared to notes, and it's definitely something that you can benefit from. Basically a quarter step is 64 notes, 64th notes. That right there is really fast notes and very tight. So that when you're playing something really fast, I don't know, like a hi-hat, or if you like finger drumming, or if you're like maybe doing some arpeggiation type things or whatever, you would set it to that. 30-second notes is also complex, but not as much as 64th. A quarter beat equals 16th notes. A third beat is triplets, and a half beat is eighth notes, and one beat is quarter notes, and one bar is a whole note. So usually, if you look at one beat being a quarter note, that's pretty self-explanatory. So you have 4 beats in a bar, and it'll snap to that particular setting, that notation. I usually keep it a half beat. It pretty much, locks in pretty well. There's some more advanced options when you're input quantizing. You can go to, this shows a really good, let me go back to the FL, and this is FL Studio 20, the update. When you right click on, I believe it's record, yeah, you can set it to note start time. This is for input quantizing, and set it for note end time. So basically, I have it quantized for when I first played a note, it'll quantize to where I first played it, and also where I ended a note, where I let go of the keys. Let me show you that other diagram. So basically, here's a great image that gives you an idea. Like I was saying, For quantizing, this is extra features for input quantizing. You can set it to no start time. No start time is quantized when one of the global snap settings that quantizes input is used. And end time, note end time is quantized when one of the global snap settings that quantizes input is used. Leave note duration, it leaves a note duration as played. So looking at this image here, this is the note as played. All right, check that out. So number 1 is quantized start time. Notice the grid here, and when you set it to start time, boom, okay, it'll be at the start time when you basically whatever setting that you set it up, whether it's half a beat or a beat, it'll move closest to the start time that you played. Usually you'll always keep that engaged because you know you want your notes to hit right on beat. But only in certain circumstances, because quantizing sometimes can be a bit robotic and not as human. It depends how loose you want to be with your notes as far as off the grid, on the grid. Let's see. Number 2, obviously quantize end time only. So basically it snaps it to where you let go, or the end time of that note. And number 3, quantize start and end time. That's what I have. That's what I usually, I think that's the default setting actually. And 4 is the quantize start time, but maintain the original duration by shifting the note forward. So basically, they have selected here is the start time and the duration. So it shifted to the start time, but left the duration of the note as played. So you can do that as well. Just depending on that particular melody or what you're playing, these settings can be very powerful, especially when you're recording, you know, live, playing the notes instead of plucking them in. So let's see. Let's go back. I wanted to show you one more thing. That's input quantizing. You can kind of mess around with, you know, the settings. Let me just bug out here and see what happens. Let me just undo that. And I'm going to do triplets. 1/3 beat. And I don't know how this will sound with this quantize, so I'm just going to do just see what happens. Okay, so with triplets, it looks like it didn't 1/3 beat, so it looks like it quantized as usual. Probably because I'm playing something really simple on like beat 1. But I don't know. Hold on, let me try something. Alright, so let's undo that and see what happens. So notice, alright, yeah, when you zoom in, and I think I have this set to none. So if I go to 1/3 beat, these are actually triplets. So let's play back and listen what it sounds like. See, that is like a horrible example of what not to do. Basically, that I set triplets and played a melody that wasn't triplets. So I'm just exploring different settings. With triplets is da 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 da. Wait, da 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 da. Da, da, da. Think of the way Migos raps. They rap pretty much in triplets. Da, 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 da. And also you can think of it like a cadence, like you're like marching, like a marching cadence. So you get the idea of that. So that's triplets or whatever. Let's change that back and undo all of that bars. So let's the other thing I was going to show you, I'm going to play that melody again, or just something. just stick with that key. For the sake of the video, I don't want to make it too long. So you got input quantizing. You got pretty much how you can change the settings here. You right click and you can mess around with the quantizing settings. You also understand the the start, end, and duration options. You also understand the breakdown of the notes based on their grids. And now I'm just going to show you real quick how you can quantize something after you play it. So for instance, I'm going to play that same little thing that I just made up. I'm taking off input quantizing. I left, this is just when you want to plug notes in. It's the grid. The grid is set to this value. So I'm actually going to play this now and show you, demonstrate. So hit record, notes and automation. You can do everything. It doesn't really matter there. So let me take that off of record. So now you can, if you notice, my notes are not on the grid. I played that early. These are off the grid as well. And I probably could set up duration. But basically, you can quantize after you put some in, after your performance. You can, I'll show you how to do that right quick. But notice everything is not on grid. It's not, I'll play it again. Like you notice is like super early. This is late. So what you can do is you select all the notes in this particular pattern. It's only a 4-bar melody. Everything's selected, and then I believe it's Control Q. Oh, my bad. I just taught you something different. Control Q actually extends the note to the next grid value, which is dope because I forgot it can do that. But let's keep that, but also Alt Q. Now Alt Q brings up, let's close that. Let's undo what I did. Everything's off the grid. And Alt Q selects all the notes that you had. Let me move this over a little bit. And notice how the options it gives you. This is the piano roll quantizer. You can save templates and stuff or whatever. But it also gives you the option to change the strength of the start time. So basically, every note that's close to, each bar, I can increase it. And notice how the notes nudge and shift to the closest start time that I intended. And also, I can also increase the duration. Notice how I increase the duration. It extends itself to the next beat. So this is very powerful when you want to hurry up, like not when you want to hurry, but you're in your zone, you're creating music, and you just want to like clean it up real quick. That is a quick way of doing it. You can always input quantize, get it on the start level, and you can use this as well. I do that a lot on a lot of my music, and it's just a quick way. And you can also adjust these. I used to mess around with these levels. And don't get me to lie. I'll explore that later because I don't want to teach you nothing that I mess around with and it's not accurate. So once you have the settings, and also, oh, I forgot, this is important too. You can increase the sensitivity of these parameters. So basically, it intensifies what you can do with these parameters. So basically, you hit accept and you have everything on the grid. I'm actually gonna select all and then Control A. My bad. Control Q, and just make those extend out a little more. just real quick, you can always select and shift, hold down shift. You can copy notes and do another layer. I'm gonna set input quantize and just do like a little melody over top, and you get really creative with it. Let's set this to half beat, and it's gonna input quantize my performance. Raise that up an octave. Hit record. That's cool. Notes and automation. My fault. Let's undo that. I totally forgot to put this. Oh, it's there. We want to do song, right? Undo that. Undo that. My bad. I'm actually recording over the pattern that I did already, so I create another pattern. So that should work. I don't know why it's doing that. So there you go. You get the idea. Input quantizing is extremely powerful. You can do, basically it saves you a lot of time, and it's good for certain sounds that you want to be on beat, and also that way your listener can just sink right into the idea that you had on a subconscious level. They kind of like they're already there, and like you can use this in combination of taking off quantizing, because you can have something on beat like drums or a kick and snare, and then have like a contrast where you have certain pads or keys like plucks like this offbeat just a little bit. Like for instance, what I can do is select all. I take off my grid. I don't have none. I can do shift and just nudge it over a little bit. That way it has like a little bit of human feel to it. And that's just, some tricks that I learned over time, and also me looking for input quantize. I didn't know where it was at because I always had it set, and I was using the older version for so long, and updating actually, reminded me to look for this. So it's DJ Phanatic Beats. Once again, content contributor for liveoffbeats.com. You can follow me at DJ Phanatic on Twitter or Instagram at DJ Phanatic Beats. Hopefully this helped you, and peace, y'all. All right, keep rocking.